Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Reardon, and I'll be your mindset coach this evening. So today, we're going to be talking about another book. And if you are new to the series, on Wednesdays, I talk about books that you should be reading to help you along your journey. And each of the books gives you crucial information that's going to help your mind and your life progress. And the book that we're going to be talking about today is called Man's Search for Meaning. Man's Search for Meaning. And this is not to be sexist or anything, because it can also be called Woman's Search for Meaning. But the book is called Man's Search for Meaning. And the author, Viktor Frankl, he is a survivor from a concentration camp in Nazi Germany. So he is explaining his experience in that camp. Oh, and he's a psychiatrist. So he's operating from a psychology point. What's going on in this camp? What's happening in their minds? Are people upset? People happy? What type of people are around? And it's very interesting because if we look at our life today, it's very similar. Now, we have a lot of freedoms where we are not in concentration camp and we don't have policing over us yet. What does that mean? Does history repeat itself, or are we just going to a new age where everything is better? Well, if we look at where society is going, it's starting to evolve. It's starting to change. And is that change for the better? We'll see, right? But I already know that the change that's happening is not necessarily a positive one in many aspects of mindset. Think of the whole pandemic. Raise your hand if you're happy, or raise your hand if you're satisfied with how the country's being run, or how many people got the vaccine or didn't get the vaccine. Are you satisfied with that? And there's going to be some opinion, right? You're going to have some say in it, where you're going to say, oh, okay, I'm 100% happy. I'm 100% satisfied. This is wrong. That is wrong. And there's someone to blame too, right? When Trump was president, everyone would blame Trump. When Obama was president, everyone blamed Obama. When Biden's president, who was there to blame, right? So we're at that point where we need to blame someone, but we can't, because we're starting to realize the trend from Obama to Trump that we're blaming. Okay, so where is this blame going to go? How can we fix the problems that we have? And it takes some introspective thinking and looking into yourself to understand how your brain is working, how your mind is operating. Because right now, you're most likely in autopilot. You wake up, take care of the kids, you go to work, you come home, maybe pick the kids up while you're on the way home, cook dinner, get ready for the next day. It's a pretty simple day. Now, you might have days where you're busy and you got to go grocery shopping, you got to go sports games, or you have meetings and dinner dates. Your day can be filled. It can be packed. But that doesn't mean you don't have time to focus on yourself. And that's where Man's Search for Meaning is going to come into play. So let's take a look at the book and just see what's really going on with Man's Search for Meaning. So in Man's Search for Meaning, we have this book by Viktor Frankl. And this book is a bestseller. Many people have read it, but what have they learned from it? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. What have they learned from this book? But before we can dive into what people learn from this book, let's learn about the author a little bit. So Viktor Frankl is, again, he's a psychiatrist, he's a neurologist, and he's also a Holocaust survivor. So if you're not too familiar with the Holocaust, it was when Nazi Germany took over and basically imprisoned the Jews and were killing the Jews. So he was in a concentration camp where they would hold them, kill them, treat them poorly, etc. So he got this experience from being in the camp. And it talks about his early life and his working career. But let's get into the book, where Man's Search for Meaning is talking about mass neurosis of modern times. So what is mass neurosis? Because if we know anything about the mind, it's going to be how the mind is operating. So if you were in a hardship, a difficulty in your life, how does that affect your mind? Let's say you got some bad news. How do you feel? Do you feel excited you got bad news? Do you feel maybe upset, maybe depressed, maybe scared, nervous? What is the feeling? Now let's take it a step further, because I know my audience is not in that predicament where they don't have any rights. Because you do have rights. You do have choices. So let's say now you don't have any rights and you don't have any choices and you will do what I say you're going to do. But I'm not a nice guy. Because the people who are running those concentration camps weren't all necessarily nice people. And one of the key takeaways in the book, it's not a spoiler, it's talking about the two types of people there are. You have decent people, and then you have indecent people. So you can imagine what type of decent people they are, right? Decent people are going to be a little bit more caring, maybe not outright blatant in their abusiveness, whether it be verbally or physically. They say, you know what? This person, is another person. I'm not going to treat them like they're trash or that they're nothing. I'm going to say, hey, just go to your room. You don't have to get beat tonight. But then you have your indecent people who go out of their way to be cruel and evil. And Frank talks about that it doesn't matter if it was the Nazis or the Jews. Both sides has indecent or decent people. So what does that mean? So let's go political, then we'll go racial. Political, we got your Democrats and Republicans, right? So now you have someone who identifies as a Republican. Let's talk about the far right, how drastic they are, how, oh my goodness, I can't believe they're saying this or doing this. Those type of people, right? And you look at them. What do you say to them? But you have to be some type of Democrat. If you're a Republican, you might say, yeah, they're great people, which is fine. But look at them. How do you judge them? Do you say, oh, these people are great people, they're all decent? No. Because when the opposite side is talking about the opposite side, it's typically pretty downright the majority rules. So everyone on that side is going to be indecent, and vice versa for Democrats. Now you have your Democrats. The Republicans look at the Democrats and they say, wait 1 second. What are these people trying to do? That's insane. That doesn't make any sense. So you know what? These people are indecent. We're not going to follow these people. We're not going to do what they say. Controversy. But you can't lump everyone into the same pool, because you're going to have decent Republicans and decent Democrats. And the same is true for people of all cultures. One of the biggest divides is blacks and whites. Why is there a divide? Because people believe there is a divide. And as long as people believe there is a divide between two people, there's going to continue to be a divide between the two people. Me? I don't believe there is a divide. I can see where people are upset about one culture, because one culture might be more likely to do a certain act or have a certain lifestyle, but that doesn't determine your outcome in life. Your outcome is your choice. So if you're making the wrong choices, who's to blame? Because we talked about in the beginning, who is next to blame? We blamed Obama, we blamed Trump. Who is next to blame? For all of our hardships, for all our problems, let's start looking in the mirror. If you don't have something in your life, look in the mirror. And the person looking back, that's who you blame. Because what you want to accomplish can be accomplished, but you have to take direct control of your life. You have to commit and take ownership of what you're doing. And that's what this book is talking about in a far out sense. Because man's search for meaning is very similar to what people want in their life. Well, what do people want? Well, people want to be happy. They want to be financially free or stable. And they want to be admired or loved in some form or respected some way. People are pretty simple. However, it doesn't stop there, because society is starting to tell people what they need rather than what their body actually needs. So instead of someone saying, you know what? I'm loved. I have food to eat. I have all the money that I need to pay my bills and a little bit extra to save maybe for a vacation. That's not enough, because we're comparing ourselves to everyone and everybody. Oh, my next neighbor, John, he went on vacation with his family, and I can't have that. I have to go on vacation with my family. Okay. So now we're comparing to John. Okay, well, let's talk about Stacy. Well, Stacy just got a brand new Porsche. Well, Stacy just got a brand new Porsche, and I'm still driving this old clunker. You know what? I need me a brand new Porsche too. So now we're playing a game of, can I beat them? And the same thing is true for race. Can I beat them? The same thing is true for politics. Can I beat them? And the same thing is true for life. What is your search for meaning in life? Maybe your meaning is something, trivial. Maybe you just want to make TikToks and play video games. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You can make plenty of money doing that. But is that your purpose in life? And we're going to talk about gift, purpose, and our passions in a couple of weeks. But talking about meaning, why is that important? And why is that our book we're going to be talking about today? And the reason why is because our first book talked about a mindset, getting out of the rat race, understanding what society is trying to tell you is actually not really going to get you where you want to be. So you need to alter your plans to when society gives you your diploma or your acceptance letter saying, okay, you're now ready for society. Guess what? You should take that letter, put it in a nice folder, put it in a drawer, and carry on with your life. So many people are holding on to their degrees and they're holding on to the ownership of, oh, I have a PhD. Oh, I have a master's. Oh, I have a bachelor's degree. I went to college. Nothing wrong with an education. But there are more self-made millionaires than there are millionaires who went to school. Do you think it's a coincidence that sports players make more than doctors? Where's the money at? Where is the money at? Where is your search for meaning? So yes, you can go after a career because that's what society is telling you to do. But what is your purpose? What comes from it? And when we're talking about Viktor Frankl, he's giving his perspective of what's going on every day. In the morning, how are people operating? Are they excited for the day? Are they dreadful? Let me ask you this. Are you excited for the day when you wake up in the morning? Do you hit the snooze button perhaps? Do you get out of bed and leap for joy saying, oh, great, I'm going to work. I love my job. And the reality is not many people are. Not many people are doing that. So instead, they're going to be miserable. And guess who likes company? Misery. So if you have one miserable person, they're going to try to bring on all their friends because guess what? Misery needs company. Because if you are by yourself, you have two choices: to address what is going on in your mind or become complacent with what you have in your life. Becoming complacent is one of the things he talks about in the book. The people who were captive, they gave up. They said, nothing's going to change. We're going to be prisoners for the rest of our lives, and we're going to die in this camp. So why even bother? How many people do you know have got to that point where they're tired, where they're fed up, they're done, they're spent, they clocked out a long time ago? Why do you think depression is running rampant? It's because people have already threw away any possibility of having more, of getting better. We talk about mindset. What you need, what type of mindset you need to be successful, to progress, to grow. Then we talk about how to think with that mindset. Because you can have a positive mindset and be going down the wrong path. Especially if you're hanging around the wrong people. You could be a very good person and hang around the wrong people, and then the wrong outcome is going to happen. Because your environment's going to take over. And now we have the idea of being able to look at society and understand how society is operating. Because that is the next step. It's not fear of failure. We already talked about mindset. It's looking at what's going on. Seeing the bigger picture and saying, all right, this is the plan. Because if you don't look at the bigger picture, you're going to fall victim to complacency, to depression, to trying a little bit, but not your all. Maybe it doesn't work and you say, you know what, I tried at least and I had a good run. Maybe you're nervous or scared. It could be a plethora of things. But simply understanding that your future is in your hands. So that book talks all about that, but we're going to fast forward toward almost the end when everyone was free. Spoiler alert, sorry. If you don't know about the Holocaust, all the concentration camps were set free. All right. Most of them, or I wouldn't know. I'll have to do some research on that. So I won't say all of them, but I would say a good majority of them, and the people were set free. So all the fighting and all the war and all the killing stopped to a degree. So it is very possible it could have been happening still. But when these people were free, when these people became free, what was their mindset like? Do you think they were traumatized from their experience and that they said, you know what, I'm so traumatized from my experience and yeah, I'm just gonna take it easy. I'm not gonna really do anything. They're lost. And there's nothing wrong with being lost. But do you want to find yourself? Do you want to be found? Do you want to get to a new location, a new place, a new destination? And if you do, you have to put in the work. So now these people are free, yet their mind is still enslaved to their lifestyle, right? To their lifestyle that they were having, to the people that enslaved them. They were weak. They were broken. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. But when you break, what do you do? Do you give up? Do you say, I had such a rough life, it's too late for me? And just let time waste away until you're wasted away? Many things could happen. And what Viktor Frankl saw was that people were in three areas, right? People who were just downright distraught, people who grew complacent with the lifestyle, and that was it. And then people who wanted to get out, right? People who wanted to get better. So where are you in society right now? Have you lost all hope? Have you just accepted what the world is giving you and that's it? So yeah, sure, you have a job and you get a promotion, it's great, right? But the world's giving you that. How hard are you working for it? If it's natural, the world's giving it to you. What are you going out and attaining for yourself? And then you have your last one where you have your go-getters. People who are like, I don't want this life. I'm going to go out and I'm going to get more. I'm going to get what I deserve. Man search for meaning. Because if a man doesn't have a purpose, he's going to waste his life away. Are you wasting your life? Hope not. Parents want to see their children to be successful. Rightfully so. Moms want to see their babies grow up, graduate, get a good job, start a family, have some grandbabies. That's happiness for them. That's joy. But everyone goes through the same process. They get their growing up in education phase. Then they get their teenage rebel, I know it all phase. And then they get slapped by the real world and they're not ready. And that's what I do as a coach. Because when I was a teacher, I saw what type of students were going to college. I saw what type of students who said, I'm not going to go to college, I'm going to go into the military. I saw the students who said, I don't know what I'm going to do next. I'm just going to wait and see. Right? I saw the array. And there's nothing wrong with making a choice, going to college, joining the military, or spending some time to figure out what you want to do. But even then, the students who are going off to college, they're changing degrees, they're getting into a field they may or may not like. And then after 4 years of education, they say, you know what, this wasn't for me. I want to change my major. So they change their major again and again and again. And before you know it, they're $1 million in debt. Who could have stopped that student? Was it mom? Was it dad? Was it the school counselor? Because we told them, you need an education. Go get an education. And education is what you need, is what's going to get you forward in life. But that's not true. Being educated helps you in certain areas, but no offense, I know some of the most educated people and they're not very smart. So what did that education do for them? I don't know. I'm not sure. And it goes back to, what do you want out of life? Man's search for meaning. What do you want your life to mean? We had a person who was imprisoned against his will, and he breaks it down in a psychological standpoint for people to see in, through his eyes, through his story. And then to analyze, is this where my life is going? Is this what I want for myself? And if it is, okay, you're going down the right path. If it's not, what can we do to change it? How can we find meaning? And that's a great question. It's actually the number one question I get from people. How can I find my gift? How can I find my purpose? How can I find my passion, my meaning in life? This book is a great starter point for you. And it's not so much it will give you the answer, but it helps change your mind. You start to see things differently. And when you can see things differently, then you can start to understand something. So we're going to be looking at some blogs, because that's what we like to do. And by now you should know how to get to my blog page, Reven Concepts. So we want to know about meaning. So let's see if there's anything. There may or may not be. I'm not sure. So, well, look at this. We have a hit. Working toward advancement. Wonder what that's talking about. Must read. How to overcome yourself. Interesting. Must read. To be rich. Everyone wants to be rich. Must read. We talked about the power process already. The 5 areas. We talk about different areas of someone's life. Definitely a good read. We're not at that topic yet, so we're not going to be talking about it. This one is very interesting, though. The concept behind never. So the people who were in the concentration camp, they gave up. They said, you know what? This is not for me. This is very difficult. I'm just going to be a good boy or good girl, and I'm going to do what I'm told. So they're being told what to do, and they're accepting what they have been told. Very important to understand that. So let's get over to this screen, and we can see it. We can see that the concept behind never is understanding that never is optional. If someone hasn't done something, or if your life is not going the way you would like it to go, you can have the opposite. So let's say you're poor. You don't have a lot of money. Maybe you're struggling to pay bills. You're not able to pay any bills at all. Maybe your housing situation is dire. Many things could be going on. But that doesn't define you, because you can turn that around. You can make the choice to turn it around. And that's why we talk about never. And if you turn never around, you have Reven, which is the name of the company. Because we want you to understand that never is determined by you, not by someone else's beliefs, by you. So, looking at this blog, you're going to be able to see how people are able to overcome never and what happens when someone does overcome never. So, what happens, which is very interesting, if one person is able to do the impossible, people magically start to be able to do the impossible also. So now that you're searching for meaning in your life, you might be stuck. Well, I don't know what I want to do in my life. I don't know where to begin. Well, who do you look up to? Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of how to find your meaning. Who do you look up to? And if you don't know who you look up to, what do you enjoy? So let's say you enjoy a certain YouTube channel. What does that channel talk about? Do you like the host, or do you like the different topics? Do you like one topic more than the other? Ask yourself these questions that oftentimes you don't think about. Your mind naturally clicks. Oop, I like that. I like that. And then you roll with it. And there's nothing wrong with rolling with the punches, rolling with what life gives you, but don't stay there. It's like going through Instagram. And when you're going through Instagram, you are just going through countless of photos and pictures and all of these things, which can be educational, can be very good for you. But if you're going to be looking at Instagram, how do you look at it? So here we have our Instagram. Well, okay, well, look, we have a video here. We can click that if we wanted to, but guess what? We are strapped on time. We need to go. Oh, goal. What is this about? I got to read it. All right. What is this person doing? Right. Et cetera, et cetera. And we're spending our day looking through Instagram. And again, there's nothing wrong with looking through Instagram. There's nothing wrong with going through YouTube. However, what is wrong is not understanding what you want from it. Because if you want something from something, whether it be I'm going to spend some time on Facebook, What is the purpose for being on Facebook? Maybe you use Facebook to talk to your family, maybe to your friends. You got to stay connected, right? So that's what you do on Facebook or on Instagram or LinkedIn, whatever, right? Whatever platform you use to network or socialize or waste time, understand that. Because you can start to catch yourself saying, oh, I only use YouTube to waste time. I only use YouTube when I'm bored. And you notice something. All right, I'm going to start to curve my boredom with a book, with different content on YouTube, instead of scrolling through for the sweetest drama piece. Identify what do you want for yourself. Man search for meaning, woman search for meaning. What do you want your life to mean? It's very important to understand that. And we go through the motions so frequently. And I understand why we do it. The reason why we go through the motions is because from a young age, we had routines. Wake up, eat, go to school, come home, do your homework, go to sleep or eat again, go to sleep. Repetitive process. And once that structure goes away, we are now left to our own devices. We never found our meaning in the mundane cycle we were going through. Well, I just was going through the processes. I was waking up, eating, going to school, socializing, doing whatever with friends. And we did it the next weekend, and the next week, and the next month, and the next year. A lot of people get into a loop. And if you can find yourself in the loop, you can say, okay, I found myself in this loop. I don't want to be in this loop anymore. Take yourself out of the loop. Very important. You want to find your meaning. What type of person are you? What do you want for yourself? That is what this book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, is going to enlighten you on. And yes, it might not be a book where it's filled with fantasy and everyone's happy. It is a hardcore book. Hardcore book where some of the stories in the book may leave you saying, oh my goodness, I can't believe this person went through this. And you might say, poor thing. You had such a rough life. Well, let me tell you about life. Everyone has had a rough life. Because what's rough for them may not be rough for you. Maybe they might say, my father would not get me a car when I was 16 because I got a B on my test. My life's so hard. No one understands me. Okay? That's their belief. That's their idea. But what happened if we talk about the other spectrum? Growing up, I didn't have any food to eat. People didn't really like me. I didn't have many friends. I lost my family at a young age, and I was put in an orphanage. And after I was done with school, I got a part-time job working at a local convenience store, making $7.50 an hour. Life hasn't been easy for me. Who had it worse? The kid who didn't get his car from his father because he got a B? or the person who lost their parents, who was in an orphanage, who is barely making a livable wage. Who has the biggest problem? But if you ask them, they'll say they had a rough childhood. They had a rough life. And when we talk about someone saying, I had a rough life, I had a rough childhood, they're not just simply saying, my childhood was more difficult than yours, because what they know is their own experience, their own traumas, their own challenges. And from there, that's how they see upcoming challenges. So how high can you rise from your challenges? And that's where the discrepancy between the 80% and the 20% are. You have your 80% people who have these challenges that are low, low, low. Eating out of garbage cans low. And some of them make it out and they reach that top 20%. But a good majority are not able to get there. So the goal is to get out of the 80%. We talked about that. To get into the top 20% so we can start to make our dreams a reality. And what I do with all my clients is make sure we can get to that 20% some way or somehow. So if they're working at a Subway, doesn't matter where they work, what's next? Don't be afraid to work at a minimum wage job. Be more afraid to stay there. Because when you're afraid, you're going to change. Be upset with your circumstance so you can change it. Don't become complacent, saying this is the best I can do, this is the best I can have. I came from nothing and now I'm making minimum wage. Don't stop there. It's like if you're running a race. The race is not over, so why would you stop? I stopped because I was tired. I stopped because everyone else was stopping around me. Okay? Well, do you want to be like everyone else or do you want to be someone different? What is your meaning? What do you want to attain in your life? All these questions must be answered. And if you are having a hard time doing that alone, that's when you have to start to seek out some coach, some mentor, a teacher, someone who is where you are or where you were and got out. You can mimic what they did. You don't have to recreate the wheel every single time you have a difficulty or a turmoil. You can understand, okay, well, this is my situation. Who is successful? Who's in the top 20% that had that situation and got out? The people in the camp. You had your people who were distraught. We're talking about the book and the concentration camps. The people who were unhappy, they lost loved ones. And a good majority of them stayed depressed, they stayed down. But then there was that few number of people who said, this is a lesson for me. And they said, I'm not going to allow this to happen again. I learned from my mistakes. But it's interesting. They learned from their mistakes. But have we learned from their mistakes? Now, I'm going to break that down for you. We are going into a world similar to concentration camps. And this is not political. Your smartphone, it can track you. What you type in Google, it knows what you're typing. How do you think ads are targeted to you? Do you not type something and all of a sudden you see an ad for it? You put something in your shopping cart and then all of a sudden there's an ad for it? You're talking to someone. Didn't even type it on your phone. Open up Google, type in a search window, and there's an ad for what you're talking about. You think that's a coincidence? No. These people are very smart. They know what it takes to get a buck. And the constant showing and viewing you of something is going to make you want it more and more. And the constant view of news, mainstream media, whatever you want to call it, wherever you get your news source from, is going to depict an evil, an oppressor, a villain. And they want you to rise against it. So now you have a mission. But is it your mission? Or are you just a part of the mass of the people who are following someone who said, this is the mission? Are you a leader or are you a follower? Are you decent or are you indecent? What is your purpose? What outcome do you want to achieve from doing the actions that you're doing? All great questions you need to start asking yourself, because what so many people are afraid of is living a life that they're not satisfied with, or living a life they were not meant to have. And all that can be taken away. Similar to what happened with the Jews, their life was taken away. You're in prison because we don't like you. What would happen if they did that here? I don't like your choice. You're lazy. You're going to be put in a camp so you could be a better member of society. They can do it. Nothing is far-fetched. I'm not even being a conspiracy theorist. I'm just telling you what mindset is. And what mindset is the ability to understand what comes next. Because I don't simply look at what's right in front of me. I look what's beyond what's right in front of me. Similar to what a magician does. They make you pay attention to a certain point, and then all of a sudden, there's something that wasn't there. They fooled you. So in life, you don't want to be fooled. You don't want to end up in a camp. You want to be free. You want to be able to make the choice to be more or to stay where you are. You want that choice. And that choice is rightfully yours. I don't force clients to say, hey, you need to be better. And give them what they need. Everything they need. Do they want to build their empire? Similar to if you give a man a fish, feed him for a day. If you teach a man fish, you feed him for life. You're in that same boat when it comes to your meaning and your purpose. You're in that same boat when it comes to what you're able to do in your life, your outcome, the outcome. So simply understanding that little bit, and this book is going to help give you a different view on their side, the enemy's side. Because there is good and bad in life. There's nothing we can do about that. There's going to continue to be good and there's going to continue to be bad. So it would behoove you to understand both of them. And not to sway to one side or the other. You can make that choice, but to understand it. To understand the premise behind people's actions. Why would someone want to hurt someone? Why would someone want to trick and fool someone? Why would someone want to help someone? Why would someone want someone to smile and be happy? The list goes on. But you have to find your meaning. And you have to understand there's going to be a plethora of different people every day that you're going to have to deal with. And understand this. Understand this. Are they the type of people who hate Mondays and wait for Fridays? Are they the type of people who are always excited and optimistic? Are they the type of people who will smile on your face and then stab you in the back when you're not looking? Very important things to know. Are they decent or are they indecent? The book teaches you so many things, so many psychology things. Again, he's a psychiatrist. And he's giving you his perspective. So the book from Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, a must read. Not because I want you to understand what went on between the two people, but to understand what went on the mind. What was going on in the mind of the people who were captive and enslaved, and then also the oppressors. How vindictive they could be. And pay attention to that in your life. Because you have people who are snakes in the grass. How many gold diggers videos did you watch? It was pretty popular back in the 2000s or like early 2000s and 2010s. Still a little bit popular now. But you have people who have their own agenda. They say, well, I want this for me, and I don't care if I have to bring someone down in order for me to rise to get to where I want to be. Okay, so if you're going to be dealing with those type of people, it's best to understand the way they think. Because if you know how they think, you know how they operate. If you know how they operate, you know how they're going to move. If you know how they are going to move, you can avoid it or you can get hit by what they are going to give you. And it might be good, it might be bad. And start to hang around people who have the best intentions for you, who have a similar mindset, or have a mindset you would like to have or attain. Very important to understand. So that's going to be our Wednesday show, where we're focused on a book, the premise of it, and what it can teach you. And Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, a must-read for someone who has already understood their mindset, already understood the divide in society. Now let's get a little bit deeper into the troubles that people face or have faced, so we can avoid those troubles, because history is bound to repeat itself if we remain ignorant to the fact that history has occurred. It is not our job to dismantle history. It is to understand it and learn from it. Understand that. We're not trying to change history. We're trying to learn from it. And if you can learn from history, you can make proper choices. And you need to go far enough back to say, wow, this really happened in Germany. People were captive because of their religion, skin color, race, whatever, right? It has happened. Is it happening again? Because in some way, we are all slaves to the system. Do you get a paycheck? Do you get your food from a local grocery store? Your goods from a local shop? In some way, we have to pay attention to what's around us and what can be taken away. And the best example of what was taken away from us was looking at the last lockdown. What was taken away from us? Don't leave your house. You're not essential. You're not a hero. You stay home. Read the book. Don't let history repeat itself because you failed to educate. Self-educate and understand what's coming next, because then you can say, I know what's going to come next and I know what I want for my life. So I'm going to do what needs to be done in order for me to get to where I want to be. And we're aiming for the top 20%. That's what the video series is, to get you from wherever you are to the top 20%. Very simple. In top 20%, they're making six figures. And if you're making six figures and you're listening to this, great. You can definitely learn snippets. You can take some things and put it in your toolbox, because more tools never hurt. But if you're stuck at 6 and you want to get to 7, figure out what is stopping you. What are the obstacles? So this video series is going to be driven by your questions. And the best way to get a hold of me for this video series is coachinginsession@gmail.com. Please like, subscribe, follow, and stay tuned for all the future episodes that we're going to be having. And if you have a question about anything I said, if you want a little bit more detail, again, coachinginsession@gmail.com. If I don't get back to you via email, it is because I will most likely be talking about it live. And I will typically say, hey, that's a great topic. I'm going to talk about it live next week, Wednesday, or something like that. Also look forward to next week, because next week we're going to be starting our new topics, which is going to be relationship. So this whole month of August is going to be talking about mindset and where that's going to take us. And next month, we're going to be talking about relationships. And we're going to have an interview or several interviews with relationship coaches and experts about the current situation that dating is in. And we're going to be talking about mindset, particularly in the dating field and in relationships, because there we have a problem. But today, what I would like is for you to find what you were meant to do, to encourage yourself to educate and be better than you are today, so tomorrow you can be better for the next day, and so on, so you can make progress. If you do the same mundane things, you're going to have the same mundane life. Do not fall victim to comfort. Success is on the other side of your comfort zone. So we're going to take our key, because we are prisoners of our own jail cell. And we have the key. And we're going to unlock the door. And after that door is unlocked, lies our uncomfortable zone. Now we're stepping out of our comfort zone, out of our boundary, where we're going to be stretching ourselves, we're going to be challenging ourselves. And that's what needs to happen. Every day, those captives had to fight to stay alive. They had to find a reason to stay alive. What's your reason? Until next time, which will be Friday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, take care, everyone.